Welcome to Flory Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got Meng's brand new 1/48 scale. This is the F-35A. Now, we've got a few of these kits floating around. Some of them have been really old school, some of them have been not exactly brilliant. Yeah, we're looking at Kitty Hawk. They have produced them all in 1/48. There's in the A, B and the C variant. They've always had little problems, little niggles and everything else like that. So I must admit I was really excited when Meng announced they were coming out with this kit. Completely left field, wasn't expecting it at all. They seem to have got this one out really quickly and completely under the radar, which is absolutely fantastic. So, having a look around on the box. Okay, so looking around at the box art, a little bit different to what we've normally seen. They've sort of gone for this sort of different font and layout and everything else like that amongst it. As you can see, usual things down here. We've got colours for AK, which seems to be the latest way of doing it. We've got some sort of QR codes as well for various things. And then, obviously, looking around on the box, we've got your various information. Not too much on this one, to be honest. Kit number for this one is LS007. So, if we dive into the box and see what we've actually got. Okay, so nice box, pretty well stuffed. If we have a deeper look down in here, get out some of these smaller parts. Okay, so let's just stick those down there. We've got a colour call out and things. So, usual thing, straight into the instructions. A little bit obviously about the F-35. I think we're pretty much all familiar with it now. Okay, so usual thing, starting off we're in with the seat. Looks like we've got a bit of photo etch as well for a full harness, which is quite a nice touch. Header box goes in, giving our unique sort of F-35 seat that they actually have. We've got a tub system, so we've got this giant sort of 27-inch, I think it is, touchscreen that they have inside the cockpit now, for that fitted in. So it's going to be quite muted inside. It's not all switches and dials like sort of classic sort of Cold War jets, things like that. This is very modern, very minimalistic inside and stuff like that. So usual thing, popping those little parts in there just like that. Then it shoots straight off down to the bottom. We're going with a nose wheel well system. It looks quite simple, to be honest. We've just got one down. We've got suspension strut, activator, things like that. Tyre going in, being fitted on there. And then same with the main wheels as well. Doesn't look to be too complex, but they are quite basic in their design these days. Putting those all in there like that. A little bit different. It actually goes down there to the GUBU 53 system. These are these small smart diameter bombs on a quad launcher rail down in there. So a little bit different way of doing it. Then we're coming in there with the standard sort of AIM 120C AMRAM, okay, and then the actual weapons bay themselves. So fitting these in, the two underslung bays, just being put in there like that. Intakes, looks like multi-part intake. I don't know how seamless they will be or how much in fact you'll see down in there, okay. So then coming along and then fitting all these in. So engine going down into the back. And then obviously the actual weapon bays being fitted in, the nose wheel bays, things like that, having those all fitted in, the wheel wells, and then the air intake system being put through as well. Okay, cockpit tub going into the top side, pretty much standard as we expect to see. And then down on here we can either have the actual air-to-air refueling probe open or closed. Okay, and then obviously two halves coming together, again, pretty much as we would expect. Pylon, so it looks like we've actually got weapon pylons as well, with the main pylon and the outer pylon being fitted down on there. So we've got those being fitted in. Actually, it has got all the actual pylons on there. And then we've got leading edge, front edge slats and rear edge flaps at the back. So slats and flaps in there. And then obviously we're down in here. Remembering to open up the all-important holes for the actual pylons to be fitted in there, just like that. Then we've actually got these sections being fitted in there for the actual wing section, popping all those in there. And then we've got these back parts, I presume, depending on your deflection of exactly what's going on down in here. So you've actually got elevator deflection, 10, 0, 0 or 10 the other side, depending in which way you want to have it. So a key system of actually putting that in there like that. Okay, then we've actually got the tails being fitted in, and obviously you would fix them depending on which one you've put those in. A few lumps and bumps being fitted into this one on the underside. Then we've actually got, if you're doing it in flight, so doors up, everything closed up, or again I assume we have down in here with everything sort of open on this one as well, putting in the actual sway brace doors, or the outer doors I should say, popping those all in there and everything else like that. So generally all very nice being fitted. So plenty going on underneath there, as we'd expect with these modern sort of 5th generation fighters. And then obviously you can have the pylons extended and out as well for the AMRAMs being fitted like that. The all important front canopy system, the way it actually opens up to one piece, actually opens up forward, very reminiscent to the old MiGs, being fitted in there just like that. And then obviously you've got your weapons for your actual loadout, depending on how you want it and everything else. And then we have a sprue section just like that. Okay, then we've actually got colour call out sheet. I don't know what they're calling it out for. We do have the actual proper colours there anyway. It's the Hill Air Force Base test markings. Or we've got Eglins as well, so we've got some of those down there from Eglin, depending on which ones they actually are. Okay, then we have just down in here, we've got a very nice piece of photo etch, as you can see, and we've got that all important harness, one piece harness on there, just like that, so that's not too bad at all. And then decals wise, we can probably just have a quick look to see what we've got on those. Okay, so decals, as you can see, pretty good, no real problem with that. They look to be pretty sharp. They don't seem to be too much on the way of carrier film, and everything else, catch it in the light, you can see it. Pretty good, all of those. Nice little colour representation, and we don't have general blurb. It does look like there is actually some type of wording in there and things like that, so that's pretty good, all of those. So in the bags, we just move this off to one side. We actually have, if we start with the main areas, okay, so it's always going to be the actual raised taped areas and things like that on these particular kits. And I must admit, we're looking at it, and yeah, as you can see, it's pretty evident that they've gone down the route of putting the raised detail all in this, which again is just something really I thought they would have learnt probably from doing the things like F-22s and things like that in the past. It's never as raised and pronounced as what we've got down on here. As you can see, it is very, very heavy right the way through. This area here especially, really, really over the top. Now, we've spoken about this when we looked at the Atari 132nd kit. This is probably on a par with what theirs is in 132nd, so by the time you're doing this into 148th, I would say this is completely over the top. You know, also the other thing as well, this is raised areas to actually hide the seams. The whole point of actually putting ram tape all the way over this and putting this crisscross pattern and everything in here is to hide the lines. But every single time a manufacturer tries to do this, it tends to actually get it wrong. And we end up something like this where it is completely over the top and it's completely the wrong way around. So again, Meng have somehow managed to stuff this up completely. Now, what you're going to do with it? Well, a couple of options. You could either try and sand this back down and take it down, and then obviously, you know, by taking the height of it all down there, you'll be left with something a little bit more muted and things like that. The only trouble is don't forget this raised stuff, the whole point of it is the taped areas to hide the joins, the panels and everything else, to make it radar absorbent, or definitely trying to limit it as much as they can. So by them having raised and then with a panel line in amongst it, it's sort of defeating the object right the way through. So again, I'm not sure on the best way of actually taking care of it, purely because it is that thing, it is so overdone, it's not sure how you're going to take it back a level or two. So again, on the underside, you can see it just down under here, completely overdone, very, very heavy. Okay, and I have to say the plastic itself feels very heavy. It's very reminiscent of something like Italeri would do, or even, God forbid, Kitty Hawk would do. It's their type of plastic to this one, and it just seems to be quite thick and not very sharp and quite blunt. But this detail, as you can see up on here, it isn't exactly the best. It looks pretty, you know, heavy duty, over the top, and you know, just overdone right the way through. Like this here, especially, what are they thinking? That is absolutely horrendous. Again, yes, okay, you could sand it down and all the rest of it, but when you're paying top money for a kit, why would you want to do that? Okay, let's have a look around at some other areas. So down in this bag, we've actually got this is the intake system and everything else. Again, it's very soft plastic on all of this. Again, we've got huge ejector pin marks inside this. This is almost like going back in time for Meng. Meng always had pretty good kits. I have to say their P51 glueless, we know it's not, kit was actually a really nice kit. It came together really, really nicely, but looking at this and some of the design things on here, and when you look at them, you can actually see it's pretty heavily done. it's not like their armour kits. Their armour kits they tend to get right. Aircraft kits, for some reason, they've just really, really messed this up. Because some bits are nice, other bits like here, for these sway braces or the actual pylon parts as well, it's that they're just horrible. Not nice at all with any of those. So really it's a bit unfortunate you're into this type of thing. You're looking at the kit thinking it's not nice. You know, normally, as you say with Meng, you wouldn't expect to hear me say that. But honestly, when it comes to aircraft like this, I'm just not getting it. So again, no real problems looking at it. And actually, I do like this texture that they've actually put down for giving the effective wiring and stuff like that in here. But I have to say, there isn't much of it when you look at the real thing. There's a lot of wiring going around in there. So it looks like they've missed the beat. Again, with detailing stuff up. The nozzle at the back, it just doesn't look, you know, particularly nice. You know, little details like this one's very nice, the actual internal fuel. But there's no actual plug. So when he's got it open, where's he plugging into? Somebody's forgot to actually put the actual receptacle unit inside there. It's like it's open, but where's the actual plug unit itself? So again, it's just a little bit odd. And again, some of the smaller parts, just the sprue tab join areas look a little bit heavy. I don't know, it's a funny colour styrene as well. Yeah, unfortunate, I think we would say. I wouldn't be jumping at and loving this kit quite as much as perhaps we've done others in the past. Okay, so this pylon down here, move the bits, not too bad at all. If we have a look round, as you can see, it's just that these joiners on here, they're quite heavily put on, and the wheels, there's no real detail or anything to these wheels at all. I have to say, it's almost like they've come along and they thought, oh I know, we'll release a kit, and they've dreamt it up over a weekend, because there's just no finesse to the details or anything else on there at all. It is what it is. It's very sort of blank and bold. I like the wiring detail, that does look very three-dimensional, but as for the rest of it, I'm just not feeling it at all on this kit. Not when you're paying top whack for it. Okay, so we got down here, this is the nose well, and the actual nose areas themselves. And say it's a horrible colour plastic, you know, very, don't know, it's just no finesse to it, there's no detail to it. I know it's composite materials, I know you're going to get the guys out there saying, yeah, but it's like that, but things have sharp edges in reality. This kit just doesn't seem to be able to sort of come forward on it. You know, some of these areas down on here, again, say I'm just not a fan of the colour of this plastic either. It looks pretty not nice. Again, the panel itself I think will be really, really nice. Got the instrument panel down here, bottom side. But again, the seat's not doing much for me. The tub, we know there isn't much in this tub at all, but I'd just be expecting to see a little bit more details into all of this. We've got little sink marks down in here as well on these. Catching it in the light, you see we've got these little sink marks down in the plastic. They're not good. Generally, just, yeah, not as nice as we've seen in previous releases from Meng. Okay, again, looking at these, don't look too bad again, but it's just these raised details. I just feel that these are too raised, absolutely overdone, completely overdone. And again, you know, it's very hard to find a full-on problem with it, but you know, I just don't know. Like down in here, you can see the back end of these. These are gonna mate together, and they got big flashy bits on here. Again, Meng, what are you doing? This is almost, I have to say, like not a Meng kit. If somebody handed me this, I'd be thinking it's Kitty Hawks, to be honest. I just don't see how they can get it so wrong when it comes to an aircraft, and so right when it comes to armour. All of their armour kits, you look at them, you think that's beautiful, it's very nicely done, it's got great detail. This, I'm looking at it thinking, what has happened? Okay, but again, you're looking at these wing sections and the various parts. You know, we know the composites and all the rest of it. You can't really get it wrong, but you know, they just seem to have got it wrong, if that makes sense. You know, there is some nice little design areas in here. I'm just looking at this thinking, Kitty Hawk actually doesn't seem so much of a bad option now. You know, for all those people just like me who went out and bought all the Kitty Hawk ones hoping they were going to be fantastic and then being sadly disappointed. This is, you know, time to think actually we didn't do too bad. Okay, so pylons. See, these are quite nicely done. Nice, sharp, good details on all of these. Not so much of a problem on all of that. That's actually not too bad at all. That's pretty good with all of those. Okay, these are the small diameter precision guided munitions. These actually look very nice. No problem with these at all. Nice, sharp, clean, concise. Again, these sprue gates are a little bit heavy, I'd have to say. I'm not a mass fan of those. Not exactly warming to it. Okay, so we've got some AIM-120s, some AMRAAMs. These are nice, one-piece moulded, no real burring on the seam line or anything else like that. Actually, they're very nicely done. And even got a hollowed out motor unit down on there. Actually, that is quite nice. For a one-piece moulded piece, that's pretty good. No problem with that at all. Okay, so clear part. So nicely done and protected. If I can get into it. Nope, I'm not really getting that way. Okay. Now that is nice. That is absolutely spot on, beautiful, crystal clear, no problem with that at all. That is absolutely fantastic. That's really, really nice on all of that. It's fantastically done. Yeah, really good. Feeling that. That's actually really nicely done. No problem with that whatsoever. It's actually a very nice clear part. All of that is absolutely probably one of the finest clear parts I've actually seen on a 48 scale kit, because that is absolutely mint and crystal. So really very, very nice. Okay, and there we go. Unfortunately, it is the elephant in the room. Why is it manufacturers insist on overdoing surface detail, especially in this day and age? I can understand it if you're going back to the infancy of the Raptor. Obviously it was very much shrouded under mystery and everything else like that. We know some of obviously the Far East companies had trouble getting references. Hasegawa definitely got it wrong. Academy I think didn't get it too bad, but it was still overdone. But here we are 10 years later and companies are still making the same schoolboy errors about round tape as what they were back then. And again, I just don't get this kit. It's definitely not on the usual par you would see from Meng. I review Meng kits all the time, and you know me, I'm one of these people, I like to call them a AAA company. I think they're some of the best kits around, everything else like that. Unfortunately, this is just woeful, absolutely woeful. It's not what I would call in the true, you know, thing of Meng. If somebody handed me this, I would not even think it's a Meng kit. I would say it's probably, I think it's a retooled, upgraded sort of Kitty Hawk kit. I definitely wouldn't put it in the Meng stable. So unfortunately, it's not going to get my seal of approval because I don't think it's right. I think that it's overdone. It's completely over-egged with all this surface detail and stuff like that. And there's no real options for it either. It's going to be harder to have to go around and mask all this lot than it would be if you know, didn't have it there, then you had to mask it yourself. Okay, but again, if you're into this thing and you like over heavy details to really make things pop and stuff like that, then you'll love it. I don't know how it goes together. Again, I can't help but think they've overcomplicated some of the design features. I can see why they've done it, because obviously it's modular wings for different versions. Between the A and the C, for instance, they have a totally different wing structure and it's a lot bigger and everything else. So I can imagine other versions coming down the line. But for their first go at something like a 5th generation fighter, I have to say that's a bit of a fail. I don't really get that one at all. Unfortunately, it's got some of the best clear parts I've ever seen on any model kit in my entire life, because that is pure stunning. But then unfortunately they just let it down. Also this plastic, it's just horrible and cheap and nasty and not nice. It's not like some of the better kits out there. Good strong styrene, things like that to go together and produce an absolutely fantastic kit. So unfortunately I really can't recommend this kit.